Hey everybody, welcome back. So this is going to be a special episode of Destination Kayak. It's just going to be me here solo with a guest. My wife will not be joining us, but really excited to bring you this next guest. So our guest today is Dave Urke. Dave also is known as the Wolf of Walmart on social media. And specifically, Dave has been really working closely with FluxJet Kayaks. So many of you know about FluxJet Kayaks. And if you're a follower of mine or just coming through here because you want to learn more about it, this is definitely your opportunity to do so. So you saw them at ICAST, and there's a little bit of information out there, but hopefully we're going to clear up some stuff here with Dave. And then we're going to talk a little bit about FluxJet and also about Dave's journey in social media content creation. So definitely want to give a shout out before we bring Dave on to our affiliates here, Catch Products. So we all know Catch Products and their measuring boards, but they're not just a bump board company. They also make a lot of different parts and accessories for several lineups of kayaks. You can check them out at catchproducts.com and then use our code TBPaddler at all lowercase. I'll have it down here at the bottom of the screen and in the description if you want to check them out. And also outdoormasters.com. Outdoor Masters is a company that we've been working with for a few months now. Been really, really happy with their products and their customer service. You saw our video on the Shark 3 air pump for those of you that are interested in stand-up paddle boards and inflatable kayaks, because I think there's going to be a lot more coming out in those lineups for that lighter throw and go kayak. Very, very good prices, much better performance than the air pumps that I've had experience with in the past. And they've actually upped our discount to 20% off their website, outdoormasters.com. You can use just code PADDLER for 20% off, I believe through the end of the month, but definitely through the holiday season here. If you want to check them out and see what they're all about, click the link down below. And again, don't forget to use that discount code if you want to save some cash. But anyways, guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and bring Dave on here. Dave, what's going on, man?
What's up?
So now it is Dave Urke. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, you nailed it, man. Thank you. I appreciate
Nice.
that. Yeah.
Well, I did a
people
little bit of research, but
yeah.
So
A lot of people just say Urk. I'm so used to it. I'm 43 years old. I've heard everything at this point. I'm like, whatever.
Well, hey, man. Again, first and foremost, thank you for coming on. I know we kind of worked through this. My schedule's been a little crazy here, so I'm not as consistent as I'd like to be, but definitely appreciate you coming on here.
Yeah.
And so just starting out here, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, what got you started in really content creation originally?
I still don't really consider myself a content creator. I just do stuff that I like or think it's funny.
Yeah.
But it's kind of I see a lot of people out there doing, especially I'm going to just talk specifically about kayak fishing for now.
Yeah.
I see a lot of kayak guys out there like, oh, I got this or I got that. I got this, I got that. And when I got into kayak fishing, I'm like, but how'd you get it on there? Is there a back mount? Like all these, because I've grown up in construction and in the trades. So I understand structural integrity. I understand wiring. I understand like all sorts of things. And so my goal when I started doing stuff for either the YouTube or the social media was to, hey, I got this thing. Here's how it goes on. Here's other things you can do with it. Or I got this kayak. Everybody does this one thing, but if you do it this way, it's a little bit more efficient or a little bit faster, or whatever it has to be. So that's kind of just what I started doing. And I did it for selfishly for myself and for my kids, if they ever wanted to like go on YouTube, if it's still around when they're old enough. But also I did it for the guys who are new, like myself, who have like no trade experience, no kayak experience. So I would explain the size drill bit, the size nut, everything. So if you needed something, you could go to Ace Hardware, go to the stainless section, stainless, please, everyone, stainless section.
100%.
Yeah. And you can get the hardware that you need. That was kind of the whole goal of that.
So for those just getting started or may not know, explain a little bit why stainless is so important.
Okay. So metal and water don't go together. at all, everyone, just to let you know. And especially if you live somewhere near a coast, you know that salt, like if you go look under your car, it doesn't matter. You may not have snow in your county, but you go look under your undercarriage and you live on a coastline somewhere, chances are the underside of your car is rusty. So what ends up happening is whether it be the salt particulates or the water itself sitting on metal creates rust. It eats away at it. So stainless was created in, I believe, the medical industry originally, but now it's created to a point where there's no rust because it's less porous. There's nowhere for water to get in and intrude and start to eat away at that metal. Also with salt. So stainless works really well for both saltwater, salty environments and wet environments.
Yeah. And that's also important for people to realize, is that not just even salt water, it's just fresh water also. So there's several kayak brands on the very, very lower end. We'll keep them nameless here, but just know that you can get them at a very large big box tackle store and made in Missouri.
Yeah.
But that was the number one complaint, and the things that I've seen, because we're talking about people just out on the lake here in Arkansas and the surrounding areas, that the fittings, all the metal fittings, the fittings on the seats, and even the rigging on the front and the back, it's not stainless. No. And it's insane how long it takes that to start corroding. And what happens when metal corrodes? It gets porous and it allows water to get into your hull. And there's a lot of things that start to go downhill there. And nobody wants to sit on a rusty metal seat either. So,
I mean, unless you're into rat rods, like,
and honestly, a rat rod kayak does sound like a really awesome idea. I'm not going to lie.
I have goals. I have goals.
Oh
yeah. I have goals.
I need to talk with some of these manufacturers on doing like a patina type paint job. That would be nice as well, because here where I live in an area, Mountain Home, Arkansas. So they do the Bucket Nationals here every year.
Oh yeah, dude.
And when you talk about some really cool stuff, and so this is a retirement community. So there's a lot of people that come from all over the country. They retire here. Actually, not far from here, I'm going to mess up his name. He's passed on since, but Norm Grabowski, he was one of the actors in American Graffiti, lived here.
Mm-hmm.
And he had this car he called Cookie, because he was a builder also. He's into those rods. And that thing, he had a lot of really cool stuff because he was a fabricator. He had this old work truck that he would drive around where it had like a half log as the front bumper and a stake post bed and all this weird, crazy metalwork on it. And awesome. He was a very good friend of Burt Reynolds also. So Burt Reynolds would actually come visit him periodically. And he lived out in the sticks there too. Just kind of interesting character. But yeah, really cool stuff on that. But I've always been a big fan of like old muscle cars and old vehicles and metal fabrication. I like looking at it. I don't like doing it. I don't have the patience for it, but
well, the patience,
respect
the
for
time,
people
the
who
money,
do it and do it well. Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
I remember, I don't want to say it was the economic downturn like of 06, 08, where gas had gone up so much, but metal had gone up so much as well. And people were hauling old car bodies to the recycling yards, and just broke your heart, because you're seeing some projects that people had sitting around that they wouldn't have sold for anything, and all of a sudden they're getting the money for that was almost as much as they were looking at putting into it to get it running and get it going. So you saw a lot of old Impala bodies and a lot of old like early 60s, late 60s trucks and stuff that people probably wish they still had today, because that stuff has gone up substantially since then. But
like the Novas with the suicide doors and everything.
Yes. Yeah. We actually saw, it was an old Continental and it was, I'm not going to say it wasn't in cherry condition, because who would do that? But there was plenty of panels that were still usable on that thing. Yeah. And just hauling. And there were builders parked in the parking lot of this place picking stuff too. So they were like, hey, they're going to give you, $800. We'll give you 15 for it, 1,500 for it. So there, some of that stuff was saved, but man, the the stuff that fell through the cracks. Like, I don't even want to know what all was crushed and recycled there. That
all you had to say was the magic word, Lincoln Continental, because I mean, there's
oh man, and you know
no
exactly
better
the one
old.
I'm talking about,
Yeah,
dude.
but
The one you see in all the videos and stuff. The suicide doors, black is the only color for that thing, just about, and just fantastic looking when it's done right.
Oh, that hurts my heart to hear that.
It hurt. I'm a big fan of the 60 to 66 Chevy GMC trucks.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was my first vehicle, and just my my sister's husband out in California. He's got I believe a 64, 65 fleet side that he's been fixing up. And I told him, I was like, it's hard to find parts out there. I said, you can drive up and down the road and find half a dozen just sitting in some farmer's field that just literally rotten into the dirt. So
My neighbor's working on a 64 as well. So yeah.
The style of that truck literally is my heart.
Yeah.
Because I drove a 62 step side there for the longest time. Kind of a dark blue, had the digital dash in it, which I wasn't a big fan of. I prefer the old analog gauges in it, but fun truck. Had a V8 swap. You know, you open that engine bay and you start to understand why they're so popular. You literally can fit you and all of your family in that bay, so you can go as big or as small as you want to go, because it had the old 235 6 in there, and I mean, you can crawl in there and have plenty of room to work around. Now, like the truck I drive, it literally looks like the engine is just like a vinyl wrap around the components in there. Like it's
same. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a Chevy now, and I open up the hood and I look at my neighbor's truck and I'm like, we're not the same.
No. And I do most of my oil changes and stuff. So like some of the designs, you always hear the saying that a mechanic's worst enemy is an engineer, and that is 100% fact. The GMC that I used to drive, the oil plug was pointed toward the passenger side tire, and every time, like, you had to have like a special funnel to hold in front to funnel it back. Otherwise, it's just going to start banging into your tire, and then you're going to have it all over the driveway. But just little things like that, where it's just not easy to do that. But anyways,
sorry, So, I was like,
we're
I'm just in here floating, thinking about my neighbor's truck right now. Like,
people are coming on here to talk about kayaks, and then we're talking about old rigs. But man, so I'm sure most people want to learn a little bit more about FluxJet, especially after watching all the content. And it seemed like there was a lot more content this year at ICAST than in years past. It seemed like one year where it's like it was overtaken by content creators and really kind of watered down. But this year, FluxJet seemed to be the star of the show. So and again, without seeing it and being hands-on, I may have had my concerns about it, but the technology and the innovation is what excited me. So tell us a little bit about how your journey started with FluxJet and what excites you personally the most about FluxJet.
Well, the excitement never stops here. I'm going to say it just never stops, because every time I come in, Jason's got something else, and I'm just like, what? Just
nice.
But so I had a small YouTube channel. I don't even think I have 1,000 followers, bro. Like, it's not like I'm not trying to be that guy, I'd rather people follow me because they genuinely like my stuff. I don't want to be a like and follow, even though I say like and follow. It's more for the, I guess you're supposed to say that kind of stuff. But no, Jason had hit me up because he had noticed it. I'd seen me doing the stuff with my local kayak shop, Kayak City, and just some stuff in my garage, and me being out on the water, being the clown that I am. Because, somebody told me this phrase a long time ago, and it stuck with me. I think it was Scott over at Kayak City. He said, we can't all be cowboys. Some of us have to be clowns. And I that is my lane, and I will stay there. I do not mind, So he seen me doing that kind of stuff, and he sent me an email and was like, hey, would you ever want to be interested in stopping by, checking it out, maybe doing something together? And I've never gotten an email from anybody asking me to do anything. So I was like, yeah. So I showed up I met Jason. We started talking. We did the walk through the old warehouse and the kayaks, and just kind of talked about everything, possibly, like maybe I took him to a place, let's get it out on the water, let's get it stuck in some weeds, stuff like that. Because I'm a shallow water fisherman. I really like the weeds, so
Yeah.
I'm always like, I know a weedy spot, So I showed him that, and we did, and that kind of just created a relationship. And what I have found here at FluxJet, working with Jason and James, and James Snyder works here, by the way. He's going to hate that I said his name out loud, but he works here. He's the guy behind the camera. He's the one that never wants to be on camera. I made
Oh yeah, I got you. Yeah.
video of him. Yeah, it came out. Y'all can see who James is. But working with James and Jason, it's kind of become like a family here. Like, it's a very small operation. We don't have a lot of people, and the more that we work together, the more we get along. And it's really becoming we all have a very close relationship with each other. It's really cool now. So
Yeah.
it was started off as I'll be the video guy, to we call each other, we talk to each other. Like, it's a family. Like, it's really cool. So
You're developing that trust too. So I think anytime you see somebody working with a brand, doesn't matter if it's kayak or fishing gear, the best partnerships are developed through that trust.
yes.
And that's what a lot of people don't realize about, it doesn't matter what you call it, content creation or influencer is the word I hate. I never want to feel like I'm influencing people, but I'm just simply trying to give them information to make the best decision, not trying to steer them towards something like, hey, I get paid off of this.
Yeah.
But, a lot of people just don't do it the right way. They'll start a YouTube channel and they'll start emailing these companies saying, hey, give me this, give me that, give me, and you got to realize that these are businesses, like, and like you said, maybe a startup business or a smaller business. And if they gave gear to everybody that came along, they'd go bankrupt. So, developing that trust, and obviously, like you said, that family, if you feel like you're in that family atmosphere, you're going to be, you're going to do better for them. So I always like, having relationships with a lot of different companies, but, this one in particular, again, it's got a lot of people curious because of that innovation.
Yes.
There's only so many things I think you can do to a kayak hull right now. You can make it a little faster. You're starting to see a little bit more of the skiff style kind of come out. And 10, 15, 20 years from now, we're going to look back at kayaks like we do fashion. You're going to see, maybe in the 2000s, we really liked this style. And then we went to the big barge style. And then we kind of went more performance, and you kind of see it evolving a little bit. But with a jet powered kayak, it really kind of, like you said, you like shallow water. And that's what, even locally where I'm at, the White River goes up and down and it gets pretty shallow. So people need a jet powered boat to get to some of those places because it's a major trout fishing area here. So you see a lot of that in boats, and there's actually boat manufacturers right here, where I'm at. There's a few of them. There's one local one, Triton does it here. Bass Pro just bought out Ranger. Ranger is literally just right across the bridge over here where they were started at. So,
oh wow.
So you're seeing a lot of that kind of bleed over into kayaks, and it's kind of where the whole boat versus kayak argument kind of came from. Is things that people like about a boat, but they don't want the boat. You're starting to see people want those things in a kayak. And when they first put a motor on a boat or on a kayak, people's like, oh my God, this is horrible. It's sacrilegious where, my kayak, how dare you take my paddle out of my hands? But now you're starting to see people buying a kayak from Dick's Sporting Goods or Walmart, and they're wanting to find out immediately how to put a motor on it. So you're starting to see more of that weekend warrior wanting to get into motors, because not everybody that wants a motor is a competitive tournament fisherman. So, and the price point of a FluxJet, where are we at right now on that? Do you know, or have they really nailed that down?
2,900 right now.
Okay, so we're under that 3K. You can make the argument you can't really get a good pedal drive kayak for that price. So the fact that you can get a new technology and innovation and something that can go in those shallow waters and I like the thing that kind of opened my eyes. And again, if I'm saying something that has changed, let me know here. But
No.
the thing that I picked up from the ICAST interviews, that it'll run 3 different types of batteries in both 12, 24, and 36. Is that correct?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Oh
so
yeah.
you're going to get different performance out of those 3. So,
Absolutely.
and I think that's one thing that kind of got lost a little bit in people just wanting to know if it goes through weeds or not. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, you can go with a 12 volt, but to get it to perform like it really needs to at 24 and 36 is going to be kind of where it's at, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you can even go up higher. There's battery companies like Lithium that do larger batteries and stuff
Yeah.
that you can still get 50 amp hours out of, and they're like you can get the 48 and 50 amp hours.
Nice.
You can really do a lot with this kayak. Jason actually just dropped a video doing the 1224 just demos, like showing
Yeah.
speed and efficiency, telling you the wattage that you're running. You know, he did a side-by-side comparison with a Brand X stern mounted motor. So
Mhm.
you can kind of
Nice.
yeah, he did that. Jason is the real genius around here. I am just like the loudest one. So that, and I look funny. So they're like you in front of the camera, you know?
Yeah.
But Jason is very much like, he just dropped a very informative video about that. And we are reshooting the larger size batteries because there was a speed limit in that lake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's pretty
So,
cool.
so I tell you what, from a content creation standpoint, if you got a speeding ticket on the kayak, that would
That's what I said.
you have got to get a speeding ticket. To me, that's the best marketing. You can't buy marketing like that.
Exactly.
And I think if people saw that, people watching this video, drop a comment down below. If you want to see a speeding ticket in a kayak, I would do that right now if I was selling a kayak.
And therein lies the difference between Jason and me, which I love Jason. He's very like, let's do this. Like, we're going to do it right. And he's very informative. Like, he's so intelligent. It's crazy. And he brings all that information to you in a very dynamic way. But if it was me, I'd be out there screaming and hollering, trying to get a ticket. You know what I'm saying? There's a big difference. I'd be taking my shirt off in the winter, you know, like just doing what I got to do.
Yeah, I would circle the game warden and then take off. You've seen those old videos where it's like the guy's at the stoplight, he looks over and he says to his wife, he's like, he blinked at me. Go 1, 2, 3, go. And he just takes off.
Yeah.
Like, he blinked. Do that in the kayak and then get that speeding ticket. Like that would be phenomenal, because that's the biggest question. So from a consumer standpoint, that's just seeing the occasional social media post or reel, definitely go to FluxJet Kayak and because they've got their own social media. Yes. You can go to Dave's social media as well. It's Wolf of Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And again, you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram. What else are you on? YouTube?
I'm on the YouTube. I do most of my stuff for YouTube, and then I make little edits for the Instagrams and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and I'm on TikTok, but I found myself doom scrolling way too much on TikTok. So
yeah,
I'm kind of taking a break. You know, I just don't really need it. So
yeah. And I've never been on TikTok, and that's not for any kind of crazy political thing. It just, I've got my 3 main ones, and really I've got it to 2. My Facebook stuff gets uploaded instantly to Instagram, but I don't really do Instagram that much. Mainly it's just Facebook and YouTube. I even did Rumble there for a while, but my workload, I try to get my workload as small as I possibly can, because in between filming and editing and all that, Insta360 sent me one of those 360 cameras that I did some content for, and I love that camera.
Yeah.
But that's literally adding another program for editing, and editing is the bane of my existence, because I just do long form video. I'll do some reels and some funny stuff on Facebook, but that's not really my strong suit. But
yeah,
man, I wouldn't call myself a perfectionist, but I always want to make better and better content. I started out just holding my cell phone in front of me and pointing at a kayak. And now I've got the camera, and I've got sound, and I've got lighting. And, I always want it to be the visually more appealing. And, I mean, I enjoy photography and videography anyway, so that I'm always going to go harder on that.
Yeah.
But with FluxJet too, and I understand that. So like you're trying to start a business and hopefully trying to start it the right way is going to be successful. But there's something to be said for something crazy that people are talking about. And obviously I'm not advocating for him to break the law just to get clicks and likes, but people want to know the speeds. People want to know the speeds, the efficiency, the noise. So you've had some on the water experience with this. Tell me a little bit about your personal experience on it.
So first off, I'm just going to blanket statement this so everybody understands. Like, FluxJet is not a kayak for everybody. It's a kayak for anybody. So if you are a tournament angler and you want the most cutting edge, everything in your kayak, this, that, and the other, you can do it. But if you wait a while, I'm sure there'll be something that comes down the pipe that's benefited more, that's directed more towards tournament anglers. This is more for everybody who's ever wanted to go see the other side of the pond. This is for everyone who wants to get out and go up a creek and not have to walk, not have to drag. This thing drafts. I've drafted it. It skips on the rocks at 3.5 inches, but the motor still runs fine at 3.5 inches deep.
Nice.
So, and the water was moving against me. I had it. It was it was fun. It was a good time. It really will take you basically wherever you want to go. If you want to go in some submergent grass, like every motor ever made, you want to get the highest, the highest pound thrust you can, because you get in that submergent grass and the prop gets, bound up a bit, or you're always pulling your pedal drive out and scraping them out and put it down. This one's fine. Like, this is for anybody. This is for, you want to go somewhere. Here's a kayak built just for you. It's like high-end technology built simply for user-friendly access. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's if I'm understanding what you said there right, is there's more coming.
Oh yeah.
Which I mean, hopefully that's the case, obviously, because you got a new technology on a kayak. There's a billion different ways you can go with it, as opposed to just adding another rod holder or something to a hull. But what you said there is very important for people to understand too. So this is like, you got your top of the line tournament ready rig that could be coming, but this one in particular is meant for getting people around. I don't want to say entry level, but maybe once you get more in the lineup there.
Absolutely.
And I like that because again, you're not, you can spend under 3,000, but then, as it goes, you got more features on it, maybe different features on the hull. Obviously, you can't get too comfortable on a seat. So you'll see evolutions to a lot of different things.
Oh yeah.
That's exciting to hear. So, I want new kayak companies. I want new companies to do well, because it obviously gives people more options. But obviously doing it right is the best thing too. So getting it right the first time, that's why delays don't negatively impact me personally, because if it's not ready, it's not ready.
Right.
We've seen companies, and good companies too, put stuff out too quickly and then have to draw it back. And then the negative outlook actually kind of follows you for quite some time. I'm a big believer and just a big pusher of NuCanoe. But when NuCanoe first came out with the Unlimited, we're right in the middle of COVID. So the supply issues were an issue. Quality issues were an issue with everybody. And they took some hits because of what people call the thin plastic, or flexi plastic. And it was an issue they had there for a short period of time. It got fixed, but we're in 2025 right now, and I still get asked questions about people considering a NuCanoe, but they've heard all these horror stories about this thin plastic, when this was something that happened at the beginning of one particular quarter. So that's why I always tell people, like, let them get it right and then release it. So because you always see that a new model comes out, and they want to get it out and get it to ICAST, and then people get excited about it and they want to buy it. But then when it gets pushed back a little bit, and like people get a little impatient on that. But you don't want to run out and buy a kayak that is not tried and true and not tested out properly. So
yeah, and when I say it's not a tournament ready boat, there is track everywhere. Every plate that is on this thing, Jason's made a delete plate for. You can add and subtract whatever you want. And one genius thing that Jason didn't know was genius, and I love, he has threaded inserts under all his track. So if you don't like the track, you can change the track.
Nice. So and we're not talking about threaded through the plastic. We're talking about metal
threaded metal inserts behind it.
I like that.
I thought that was genius. From a rigger's standpoint, I love that. I'm like, oh yeah.
100%. A lot more options that way, whether you're going yak attack or even catch.
Yes.
Big shout out to catch. So
yeah, shout out to catch for that trap door, by the way. I have that on my PWR and I love it.
Yes.
Yeah, that thing is genius.
I know it's a good problem to have, but like I said, they've had a hard time keeping that part in stock. The only reason I don't run that on my PWR is I don't run a transducer. I'm one of those. Nothing wrong with fish finders. I just personally, I'm primarily fishing on water that I'm very familiar with. So,
well, FYI, you can hold it open with your toes and it's a porta potty. You can just.
Well,
that's what I do.
So I never latch the front end of the pod.
Oh yeah,
and I just kick that up.
My man,
man. Yeah, that is definitely. I keep the scupper plugs in when I'm running it on a motor, but yeah, that there is definitely that's my spot right there. And I've actually gone over the side of it as well. But that's Yeah, you get out there, especially when you're night fishing or something, and if that need arises, that's a nice kayak to have it on for sure.
Oh yeah. So back to the FluxJet. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
You're good.
I got the 80 HDs, so I mess with my mic. I'll sit here and have 100,000 thoughts going at once.
I'm just not organized, so we're good.
But yeah, so one other thing I will say about the FluxJet with this technology, with this motor integration, basically coming down to it, depending on the size battery, like if you want to be just out there, 12 volt is the way to go. 12 volt is the way to go. You just want to be out there. You want to have a good time fishing with your kids. Or I would totally put my 10-year-old son in one with a 12 volt and be like, see you later, bro. And like, trust that he'll be fine. I would not put him in there with a 48 just because he'll be trying to do drag races or something.
Well, he'd be the one getting the speeding ticket.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah. Get it on film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but so if you're just trying to get out there, the 12 volt will do you just fine. But when it comes to you guys, you want to be out there tournament, not even tournament angling, just like really taking that 8 hour, 12 volt will run all day. No problem. No problem at all. The wattage that these things pull and the amp hours that they draw is like next to nothing. So, but if you want to get the 24, you're in moving water. So I would suggest more 24 volt would be the best way for your best bang for your buck would be like the 24 volt motor. And the great thing is that's the only adjustment. That's it.
Yeah.
You put a different battery in it, you get a different motor. But
and that was what I understood from him saying that at ICAST. And I want to say it was Darren Wendell that was interviewing on the one that I watched, where he was talking about the different batteries. That was really interesting because from what he was saying, it sounded like it was a true plug and play where take the 12 volt out, 24, 36, whatnot, or higher, plug it right in. And it's like it adjusts to that battery. So you don't have to be careful of anything else, or and that's really nice. So, and then if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, the throttle is integrated into the hull, correct? It's got the little latch, very similar to like the skeg control and like the RVR, where it's a lever that goes back, middle, forward.
It's a dial though. It's not even a lever anymore. It's a dial. Okay. And I'm telling you, the sensitivity of being able to just where it's at is natural. If you put your arms down to your sides right now, sitting in a chair, your hand will be on the throttle. You don't have to
Okay.
reach for anything. It's a naturally ergonomic set where it's at on the hull.
Okay.
And then it's a flat on top and it's a full circle dial. So you just rest your thumb on top of it. I rest like my palm and thumb.
Mhm.
And I just, dude, this right here, I'm going to put my hand in the camera so you can see it. This is how you control your motor. That is it. It is next to nothing. Instead of trying to find a certain point,
Yeah.
this is so easier to find your low motor setting for, you know, if you're in current or tidal situations. Oh my gosh, it's so easy. I did not think I would like that handle at all. I did not think I was going to like the throttle. I'm so used to my NKs. And when the
Yeah.
first day
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
went out, it was like just natural to run. There was
Yeah.
no break-in time for me. It was awesome. So, but I also keep
Nice.
my throttle on the left. The cool thing is he's put throttle mounts on both sides. So if you don't like your throttle on the left, you can put it right there on the right side.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
that was going to be the question I was fixing to ask you is there any kind of mod where it's ambidextrous, where like, because
It's already built in.
I'm a right-hander, but shout out to my lefties. That's one of the things that I always try to point out, even with a pedal drive, when you're talking about the rudder control. If you're a lefty and that rudder control is on the right, which is typically what 90% of them are, I know Hobies, they'll have the ambidextrous, you know, the handles on both sides there. That's an issue. So it may not be an issue, but I always kind of compare it to, it's not a huge issue. You can do it, but if you're right-handed and you're fishing with a left-handed bait caster, or if you have the handle on the wrong side on your spin cast, you can still fish. It just,
It's awkward.
you're not used to that movement. It's, or throwing a baseball with your left hand when you're right-handed or vice versa. You're just not used to that. So,
So right here out the factory, it will come left-handed, but the plate is on the right side. The knockout's already there. And all you do is you unscrew the two screws from the throttle and you put it on the other side and you pull the connection out and put it in on the other side on the inside, connect the throttle, and now your throttle's on the right side. It is
nice.
7 minutes, maybe.
Electrical engineering degree is not required.
No. He has that and he did it for everybody.
So and that's where I think kayaking is gone, especially in the last probably 2 years and beyond, is, you know, the DIY, they're very DIY friendly. So the easier someone can make, you know, you're starting to see more of the wiring access plates where you just remove the plate, it's a cutout, you don't have to drill into your kayak as much anymore. Because I remember just, you get a kayak, and once you do it once, it's the sky's the limit. But that first hole you drill in your kayak is really something else. Like you get that, especially if you spend a lot of money on that kayak, you get that, just your stomach will just sink. Now you got strategically placed plates already where you've got pass-throughs and you can replace the plates if you change. Because I ran a bow mount before on my PWR. Now I run a stern mount motor with my NK. So, you know, being able to just swap it out, switch it out, and, you know, it still looks stock instead of something that I've just drilled and drilled and drilled again on. So
plastic weld, you're out there with a spoon and a Homer bucket and a lighter. Like,
yeah. I've got the little heat gun, and then I've got the little stick of plastic. I'm just kind of twisting it. It's not something I want to do if I don't have to do there. So on the FluxJet kayak, and I don't, it may be out there already, I may just be ignorant to it, but do we have any hull weight or weight capacity figures on that?
Okay, weight capacity, that's coming.
Okay,
trust me, it's a lot. It's more than you would think. The whole weight itself is about 80 pounds altogether.
Okay,
with the motor and everything hooked up.
With motor, okay. I'm assuming that's without battery, of course, because
without battery. Battery is a
lot of variable there.
Yeah. So far we've had me and James, which were both a couple 100 pounds, in the kayak, and I was motoring around, James hanging off, like sitting on the back with the motor under his legs, and we were just cruising around, you know. So I have a feeling it'll be all right. And then also the design of the hull was really interesting because he designed the nose quite a bit higher, taller, more bulbous-ish. And at first I was like, why? And he's all, you ever kayaked in the ocean? And I'm like, oh, good point. Yeah. And he's got really tall gunnels. So the buoyancy and the weight limit on this is going to be higher than I assumed. So
Yeah, depending on the conditions, sometimes it's better to have that really sharp keel, and then sometimes it's better to have that bulbous, front end. I know a very good example of that, Jackson Kayak with the Kusa X, and also with the Big Rig. When you look at those kayaks specifically, they have that rounded front end, and that really does a good job of punching, like keeping you above the wave, especially when you're in a choppy condition there. So,
oh yeah.
which is funny because those kayaks, the Kusa X, you can kind of make the argument because it's designed as more of a river kayak, but depending on what kind of environment you're in, and I've had the Kusa X down a pretty decent little, moving water shoals, and it does remarkably well.
Yeah. We're actually doing a big river test video this weekend with some people who are really big in river fishing. They're coming out here to, we're gonna have some fun.
That's my spot there. So, got a lot of good water here in North Arkansas to test that thing out on. We got creeks and smallmouth and largemouth and even trout kind of gets up into some of these rivers. I'm working on my final episode of Take Me to the River, where it's Buffalo National River, which is just driving distance from here. So we did the lower wilderness section, which is a 25-mile section. The lower section where there's no access points, there's no civilization out there. So basically, if something happened, you have to be airlifted out. There's no roads that lead to it, and it's just phenomenal. We saw feral hogs, we saw river otter, deer. We didn't see any elk this time, but there's elk all over the place out there, and just camped out there on a gravel bar. Like it was one of the best and worst experiences I've had in a long time, because the second day I was sick as a dog. I was running a fever. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I don't. The guy I went with, he brought some taco meat, and I was just kind of jokingly blaming on that. It's like, that taco meat you gave me didn't agree with me. But,
who were you fishing with? John Dalton? That man loves Mexican
no,
food.
it was a friend of mine. He runs Uncle David Outdoors YouTube channel. He actually worked for me at the kayak store here for a while, and he was back in town from being on the road, and he floats the Buffalo all the time. He also owns a bona fide RVR, and he's actually filmed himself floating every section of the Buffalo River from start to finish. And
oh wow.
But he lives for that. So he absolutely loves it. And I grew up on the Buffalo, just a section of it. So I've gotten to explore the last few years different parts of the Buffalo that I just never really floated, because one of those things where you live there and you kind of take it for granted a little bit. So I just kind of in my little box there, but not knowing how beautiful the upper was or how remote the lower was. And it was a really, really cool experience though.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
There's old nicknames for every part of the river too. So like you're floating by things called Skull Bluff, and we got Boat Prop Graveyard, which was kind of an interesting part of the river I never even heard about. Basically, it's like a maze of just rocks popping up all over the place and the water flowing over it. And you're basically having to work it like a maze to get through it. And of course, we're getting hung up on rocks, and we're in a little bit of a low water. So it was, probably a little harder that trip, but it was just really neat. And of course, the fishing is phenomenal down there because the lower part of the river holds fish longer. The upper part kind of tends to go really low, some parts even underground in low water. But that lower section actually runs into the White River, which is where the trout are put in. So the trout can kind of come upstream, but also you're going to get the largest smallmouth bass and even some largemouth down there on those lower sections as well. So,
dude, I can't imagine. I got to get out there now. Now you make me want to move.
Oh, it's phenomenal. And there's plenty of documentaries on there, because it's the nation's first nationally protected river. And it was there's a documentary on YouTube called Undammed. So that was what they were doing back in the 70s, is they were just damming everything, producing power, and they were wanting to dam the river to obviously prevent flooding and produce electricity. But the government kind of stepped in and wanted to protect it, federal protection, which keeps people from building, you're not going to see any resorts and anything on the shores. It keeps it in its current state. So there's a lot of untouched land out there, which to me makes it one of the most beautiful places on earth. But when you go out there, it's also a registered black sky. So that just means there's no light pollution out there. So when you're at night on a clear night, it's one of the clearest views of the stars you can have anywhere in the country too. So
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Oh,
it's something else. But that documentary Undammed is really, really nice because it kind of talks about the history, and it's kind of a checkered history a little bit because, obviously when the government steps in to protect land, there were some people that lost some land on that too. So I think everyone kind of, for the most part, agrees it was for the best. But yeah, there's still people around that, they lost quite a bit of land in the deal, kind of that eminent domain type thing. So
yeah.
and I definitely understand that frustration there. But
Yeah. But, out here in California, we don't have that much. I mean, we have national parks, but the
yeah,
only eminent domain they ever really claim is for a train that they'll never build. That's about it.
yeah,
It's just,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
ridiculous. So to
And
have beautiful
here's
country like that just makes me, I need to get out of here for a while.
oh yeah, it's in North Arkansas specifically. Like I said, you have Mark Twain National Forest. It kind of goes up into Missouri. You've got Northwest Arkansas, which is just a booming area. And where I live in kind of north central, northeast Arkansas, again, mountains, wooded areas, national rivers. We have two large lakes here in Norfolk Lake and Bull Shoals Lake, and then the White River. So the White River here, I live in a town called Cotter, which is outside of Mountain Home. It's known as, they call themselves I always like to say, the self-proclaimed trout fishing capital of the world. But trout are not a native species here. They're all, the dams, they have trout hatcheries, which are really neat to visit. But basically, it's like you're raising these trout, then you're dumping them into a river, and then so you can have people, take tourists out there and catch what I like to call fish in a barrel.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the fish that are out there, there's some trophy catch and release. I believe they had a 25 here like 3 or 4 years ago. They had a 25-pound brown trout pulled out of there, and there was and it was it was when it was snowing too. So like you could see like ice and snow in the background, and the guy's like holding it in front of the camera, and he's just straining, and you could see just the folds of fat going over the guy's hands, and just an enormous fish. And there's celebrities that go down to like the governor of Arkansas goes down there a few times. I think Luke Bryan, the country music singer, he's been down there a few times. And Bill Dance actually was here not too long ago. He actually has his own special room in one of he's good friends with one of the people that owns the local guide service down here. So
That's
if
awesome.
the front door's got like a little Tennessee hat painted on it. It's got his signature on it that he signed. But they call it the house that Bill Dance built, or the room that Bill Dance built or something. But yeah, it's a neat little area. Now, when you get to like central and south Arkansas, it's very different. It's very flat land and industrial. But up here, it's a bit of an outdoor paradise.
Yeah, I get it, dude. I need to get out there. Holy cow! I mean, I was talking to Fred Rabanis a couple months ago, and he lives out that way. And he's like, "If you ever come out here," I'm like, "Bro, the more and more you guys talk about this Arkansas, the more I want to be there right now."
Yeah,
awesome.
And I think Duke at Catch Products, they did a couple of videos out here on the White River where they were, they're obviously trying out some of their product, and they were out there on their Hobies and stuff doing, trout fishing and stuff. But me, smallmouth is where it's at. I like being out there on the natural rivers, so to speak. And I reached out to FluxJet myself. I was like, hey, I'd like to get my hands on one of these to do a review. People are very curious about, and I've definitely got some good waters around here. But I understand. I'm here in Arkansas. Now they're based right there where you're at, right?
Yes, right here in Sacramento. Here in Sacramento.
Nice. So they had talent right there on their their back door for the most part.
I mean, talent. I would consider myself entertainment.
Hey,
talent.
But still, you got someone with a camera to document stuff. I mean, that's good stuff, and definitely glad to see you doing stuff with them, because again, curiosity is always good. I'm no master marketer, but I've got experience in it.
I mean, I myself watch your videos, so like I've been watching your videos for years, so like it's great. Like Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I think you would do a way better job than I would, but
Ah,
I'm just here. You know,
I'm just a dude that loves talking about plastic boats.
Same.
So. There's something to be liked about everything. And the one thing that I always caution people about with any kayak is there's pros and cons of everything. So there's no such thing as a perfect kayak, but there's the closest thing to the perfect kayak for what you want to use it for. And that's the one thing. So I've got a New Canoe U10. I've got a Bonafide PWR. My wife's got her Hobie Lynx, and we've got our river kayaks. She's got the RVR. I've got a Jackson Tripper along with the U10. Yeah. So I mean, you don't have to have all that many kayaks. There's some good kayaks that do a lot of things really well. There's some good all-around kayaks. There's niche kayaks, what I call it. So, you're not going to take the Bonafide XTR 130 out on a skinny river or creek. You can do it, but there's just going to be better options out there. So
better bring wheels.
And I always caution people, that shiny toy, that new shiny toy, because it never fails. You buy a kayak and then next year something comes out like, ooh, I got to have that. That can get you in a lot of trouble because working in the kayak industry like I did, that didn't protect me from it. As soon as I'd get something, I would hear, of course, you just hear about it earlier. I'd hear about something coming down the road. I was like, oh my God, I should have waited. But definitely, I think the kayak industry as a whole is definitely set up for a strong run. It's been pretty stagnant, kind of a lot of dealers getting over COVID and not having enough stock and then having too much stock. And then of course that created the used market boom. And then now that finally burst. I think now we're starting to see the market going to get stronger here the next year or two with newer kayaks, newer innovation, and better value. So I definitely think the FluxJet kayak is definitely primed for that value. People want something new and different, but I think more people out there testing it out, doing content, doing those reviews that show real world application is going to be really, really good. I'm definitely glad to see you doing that. So
yeah, I appreciate it. Well, let's talk about something real quick. I'm going to go in a couple different directions. Just spitball with me real quick. First off, I come from skateboarding. I cannot give you a skateboarding analogy that everyone will understand, but I can give you something that I learned in skateboarding, which is like footwear, comfortable footwear. Not everybody thinks Jordans are comfortable. So not everybody's going to be sitting in a PA. Not everybody wants to wear high tops when they're playing sports because, high tops are for a specific person who has like ankle issues, so some people like a flat sole, some people have a high arch. So there's no kayak out there that's good. You're going to sit in and be like, this is the perfect kayak. It's perfect for everyone, better than all the rest.
Yeah.
But this one's getting pretty close. I mean, no kayak is going to be perfect for everyone. Agreed. But what kayak that you can buy off the store, throw a battery in, it has a voltage regulation system in there where you already can plug in a phone charger, a camera port, or anything else that you want to do, along with run multiple types of batteries without having to run different types of wiring. This comes straight out the gate, which I think that in itself is what makes it so beneficial for so many people. Because how many guys have a kayak shop around them that most guys order off the internet, right? And how many do actually have a local kayak shop that's still in business around them? They're dying like crazy. And so to have somebody that knows how to rig it is a whole nother thing. Well, when it comes pre-rigged and ready to go, dude, like the world is your oyster for everybody. I really think that like that stands alone. Just Jason putting all that technology into these by itself. The voltage regulation system is phenomenal. Like it's a wiring harness. It is a thing of beauty. Like from a construction or an electrical standpoint, like you look at it and you're like, this is optimal.
What gauge wiring do they use on the kayaks? Do you know?
Because it's a voltage regulation, there's a voltage regulator. So you can use different types of wire for different things. So you're going to have smaller, you're going to have 14, you're going to have 10 or for 10, you're going to have 14, you're going to have 16 for different ports, lights, things like that. Cause it comes with lights already in it. But then when it comes to the motor, you're going to have 10 to 8 gauge, depending. I haven't seen the finished harness because they're all inside kayaks.
Oh,
So I'm
okay.
like, we
I
need to
got
cut
you.
one
I got
open.
you.
I want to do a whole
Yeah.
walkthrough. But until they're out for sale, we don't want to cut them open and give everybody the opportunity to do something, you know,
Gotcha.
if that makes sense.
No,
That's part
absolutely.
of the friendly competition that is this industry.
Yeah.
You know, we're all in the same boat. Like, you can ask anybody who's worked with me, Wade, or anybody. Like, I want to see you win. I want to see us all win. We are
Yeah.
all in the same boat, but friendly competition is always good. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
The industry needs it. So
Mhm.
the best example of that is Hobie. Hobie for the longest time was number one, and you had all these companies not shooting for number one. They were all shooting for number two. They'd kind of, there was Hobie, and then there was everybody else, and then like, some of your like big box store stuff.
Yeah.
Now, and you can make the argument that Hobie just did this, but you can also make the argument that everyone else kind of did that too. So it may, in my opinion, it's a little bit of a mixture of both of them. Again, they had a lot of issues during COVID, and
Everybody did.
so did everybody else.
Yeah.
But everybody else came out of that pretty good. And Hobie just had their own struggles. But now you've got more parity. You have, 1 year it may be Bonafide, next year it may be New Canoe, and then out of nowhere, someone else can come in and just blow it up to, say, like a Jackson or, FluxJet, anything like that. Old Town, I'd like to see Old Town do a little bit more, but Old Town has kind of been living off of that cult-like following they've got. So
yeah. Hey,
but
the PDO Pro is pretty cool, though. I'm not gonna lie.
yes, and I saw one of those. You definitely the Sportsman really needed a design upgrade, in my opinion, and I'm glad to see they did that. A little bit easier to motorize, thinner gunnels. You're starting to see that a little bit more in the industry, where you're maximizing the amount of space that you're sitting in. So a bigger stand-up area, more room for gear track, because that's really going to be where it's at in the future. Is not only new propulsions, but new ways of mounting things. If someone wants to use forward-facing sonar, a system coming out of the box for the kayak to utilize that if you want to. But granted, the more niche you get with a kayak, kind of the least amount of people you've got to sell to. So, that's where I think you're seeing more of those weekend warrior boats instead of that tournament ready out of the box. Because not everybody needs a pro angler. Not everybody needs a $5,000 or $6,000 pro angler, unless they're using all of those features. Now, if you're using all of those features, it's good value, but not everybody needs all that. I would argue probably half the people that own a pro angler don't even use half the stuff that is intended for that kayak. People say a comfortable seat, a wide, stable kayak, but now you can get a wide, stable kayak that can be motorized or pedal drive for considerably less. So that's kind of where that value goes into,
And another thing is, like, I feel like there's a lot going into the industry as it is right now, money wise, from a consumer base. I feel like having this be like basically almost a package deal, really, minus a battery.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that is just going to be like the Garmin motor. The Garmin motor came out. It's cool. It's great. There's a lot of problems, but it's only the first one. And that's just setting the tone for what they're going to be doing down the line. And I feel
100%.
like with Jason and FluxJet, what we're doing over here, like, I feel like this is a way to possibly set a tone for everybody to kind of, not really fall in line, because we're not creating a line, but let's all work together. Like, look what we were able to do. And we know you're able to do this too. Let's figure this out,
Yeah.
So
100%. 100%. Like I said, it's the kayak industry is not a copycat business, but it is to an extent. A lot of people use other ideas from other kayaks to better their own, and that's how we get that stair step up. There for the longest time, the only swivel seat was on a New Canoe. Now you've got them on Wilderness Systems. Now you got them on Bonafide. Now even Crescent is using a kit to put the Millennium seat on their kayak. So
the most in our comments, the most comments in our DMs right now. Where's the swivel seat? We're
Where's
like,
the
dude,
swivel seat
can
at?
you not
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
relax?
Like,
This is
like
the
we're, and there's people that are actually, they're taking, kayaks that they, big box store kayaks, what I always call them, like your Lifetimes, your Pelicans, and they're adapting them to have a frame seat on it. And it's just a matter of time before somebody figures out a way to put a swivel seat on it. Is it the best thing for it? Of course not. But that's the number one thing. Seat, because what sells a kayak? Seat, color, the ability to do, to propel it, whether it be pedal, or power. So
I also think it's funny. I don't know if you've had to, I'm sure you've dealt with this. You've been on YouTube a very long time. I'm sure you've dealt with this, but it blows my mind. It's like everyone's like, we want to see it in the grass. We want to see it in the grass. We do a grass video. First comment in the grass video. What about the ocean? We're like, dude, can you not just like stop and take a look? Like, look, you can't do this with almost anything else.
Look at what we have done. Yeah.
Like, can we all pump the brakes for a minute? Like, so it's really interesting. I think it's just me because I'm not used to the YouTube smoke so much. Like, because I don't really have a lot of people my buddies will bust my balls, but like I don't really get a lot of YouTube smoke. So like seeing these comments come across like, oh, well, why don't you do this? Well, dude, like you were literally the comment that asked for this video. We did this video and now you're commenting for something else. Like, let's all like take a breather for a minute and like just enjoy it. So
and that's the thing is, and I'm not going to say I've never been guilty of any of that, but sometimes people can kind of put the cart before the horse, so to speak. So you've got a new technology. You're always going to expect that improvements are going to need to be made, but just getting it out. So take for instance the Old Town Autopilot. The fact that they made a kayak that came with a trolling motor in the middle. Now it's not the best motor, it's not the fastest motor, but it's a motor. It was the perfect thing, and it still sells to this day. That is probably the number one most requested kayak, and it's just because you can put a battery in it and go.
Yes.
Now I don't, when I sold against Old Town, we carried Bonafide and New Canoe and among many other brands. I'd build out a New Canoe and say, look, you can go buy a Old Town for $4,500, or I can build this for you for $1,000 less and give you a better motor, better speed, all that. But the fact that you can get it out of the box, just plug and play, that is kind of where that kayak specifically is just still relevant to this day. And it started the trend. So now everybody's putting motors on a kayak and making it easier and pre-wired. And Wilderness came out with that Tactical Pro kayak
128.
And I've seen that one personally. I was probably less impressed than all the social media stuff that came out about it, but still, you motor, battery, go. The more that happens, I think, because not everybody's got, like you said, not everybody's got a paddle shop down the road that they can take it to and say, hey, can you do this for me, and have it professionally done. When it's coming from the factory like that, it also gives you that confidence as well to put that battery in it and go. Not did I forget a connection, or is the fuse block too close to the battery or not close enough? Like there's a lot that goes into it that you don't always see in the instructions. So
and just for all the people who listen, we have videos coming out. We have plenty of videos in the queue, but we're releasing them a specific way for a specific reason. Like when I was talking about the nose and the hull, notice I did not mention the bottom of the kayak. There's a specific engineering design that creates that kind of works against the bulbousness of the hull to be able to still have you cut through water like you wouldn't believe. So it's pretty interesting. He's one of those guys. So.
Well, man, we're here at an hour. I'm going to go ahead and we can kind of wrap it up here, but those of you still watching, obviously, thank you. Follow Dave here on the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. Also follow FluxJet Kayak. is it FluxJet or just FluxJet Kayak on social media?
It's FluxJet Kayak. I found that out the hard way. Yeah.
Okay.
It's FluxJet Kayak because I tagged
So-
FluxJet and that was not what I was supposed to
I
be
got you.
tagging. So yeah.
So, if you're wanting, those of you watching, if you're wanting those updates, definitely follow them, and then you can see that content as it comes out. Dave, again, appreciate you coming by. Appreciate the time. And is there anything else you want to add before we cut loose here?
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. Shout out to Jason and James over here at FluxJet. Shout out to the boys at Kayak City. Shout out to Zach and Josh over at Dark Horse Tackle. Everybody that's been taking care of me this whole time. Like, thank you.
Nice.
I appreciate you.
And again, I really appreciate you shouting out a local paddle shop. That is I'm not going to get up on the soapbox here because I think I've done that every single live stream I've ever done. Those paddle shops are in trouble. They're being attacked by online retailers, and people are starting to find out really quick that you don't get the level of service and not necessarily the savings you get online as you would a local shop. And I don't know, Kayak City is one of the ones I don't know anything about, but from my experience in different paddle shops, they are some of the coolest places to hang out with and get to know. So definitely appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, dude, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. So
no problem at all, man. Well, anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll be bringing more of this. We'll still be doing live streams with just me and Christina. And when we have guests, we'll do some of those live and then some of those pre-recorded to kind of facilitate with their schedules. But thank you so much for watching these. As always, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Anyways, guys, we'll see you on the next one.